Hello and welcome to my channel. If this is your first time here, my name is Millie and today I'm going to be playing with a lot of different Adept Cosmetics eyeshadows. In particular, I'm going to be talking about the infamous Plain Jane palette, which is everything except plain. It's just, oh, look at it. Of course, the light's like reflecting off of the gold, but this is absolutely stunning palette. Of course, I'm going to insert some swatches, and then I also built my own little matte eyeshadow palette. So this is like a custom palette you can build, and you have a choice of doing 10 eyeshadows, or you can build a palette where this is like a little foam insert. This gets taken out and you can fill the entire palette with I don't remember how many eyeshadows. I'll put it up on the screen, but a lot. So I settled on the 10, and these I thought were kind of the most fun colors for me to pair with the shimmers in the Plain Jane palette. So that's why I chose these. I think I got a pretty good variety. I got like some greens, blues, a purple. I also wanted to make sure that there was going to be enough depth in this palette for me. So in this video, I'll be creating 4 looks. I originally was going to do 3, but I just feel so inspired with this palette. I cannot get enough of the mattes as well. I'm really, spoiler alert, really enjoying both. So I really haven't been able to put this palette down. And I actually got the Plain Jane for a pre-order, and it wasn't supposed to ship until the end of February, beginning of March, and I got it way sooner. So I'm really excited because it's just so beautiful. The texture is just something else. This texture really is so different. It is almost like Super Shock, like everyone's comparing it to like ColourPop Super Shock shadows. I would say definitely they've got some of them got a little bit of squish to them. They just feel really slick, almost also similar to the shimmers in the Beauty Bay Book of Magic palette. I would also compare it to that consistency, except I think these are just much easier to apply than those. Those have kind of hard pan on me, but these ones don't. They are so easily picked up, especially with a finger. Like, I'm actually amazed how well these apply. So without giving you a full review yet, let's get into the 4 looks I created, and then if you're interested to hear my thoughts, they will be at the end of the video. Don't know why I'm starting out at the end, but first row, ACI 6. This is just a really beautiful. This one is definitely a little bit more sparkly textured. For the most part, these are very much toppers. There's a couple that are like fully pigmented. ACI 5 next to it, I would say this one's a bit smoother, and this one is like a gold to a pink. Also definitely less flaky. This is a stunning kind of a dusty pink to a bright pink to a gold. ACI 3, this one's a little bit on the flakier side. ACI 2, this shade is absolutely stunning. There's a lot happening. This is kind of like a brown green type of duochrome shade. ACI 1. This one is very smooth. ACI 7, this one's very flaky, very translucent. ACI 8, also a little bit flaky, very translucent. ACI 9, this one I would say is probably one of my favorites. It's just so unique. It's absolutely show-stopping on the lid. It's just so bright. ACI 10, this is a more iridescent shade with a kind of peachy purpley shift, peachy red, peachy pink. ACI 11, definitely on the flaky side when you look in the pan, but kind of smooths out once swatched. This is like a pink purple shift. And lastly, ACI 12, and this one is very pigmented, a little flaky, but super pigmented. I would say these did not swatch the greatest, but swatches don't really mean much since I've used these quite a few times and I've had no performance really issues besides just having to build some up, except this shade definitely needs a lot of building up. It does come on pretty sheer. So I'm priming with the Be Perfect primer per usual lately. I need to let this one dry down because otherwise it can definitely be a little too tacky and I'll have some trouble with eyeshadows on top of it. So first going in with ACM 4, I'm just gonna do a quick, easy 3 eyeshadow look, I think. I really want to show off ACI 9 from the Plain Jane palette. It's just such a beautiful green, and I really wanted to try out this shade as well. I've tried the bright green since I have played with both of these palettes. ACM 8 on the outer corner, and just packing it on, and then I'm gonna blend out the edge, and I'm gonna blend that out. And that is really, really cool kind of green, foresty green. And then I picked up some ACI 9 and I did spray my brush, and I'm just gonna pack that on. I do find these are really, really nice to apply with a finger if you don't mind doing that. So just packing, this green is just so beautiful. So I'm going to show you with my finger. Do kind of want to feather out that edge there. So onto the other eye, I'm priming again with the Be Perfect primer. And for this look, I want to play with those pinks and the purples. I'm putting ACM 21 right into the crease. The pretty large fluffy brush, I'm going to be doing a cut crease so that I can try to fit as many shimmers on my lid as possible, since they're just so beautiful. As you can tell, this is quite the pigmented purple. So I'm taking the NYX glitter primer, and I'm gonna use it to cut the crease. Just gonna map out the shape. Starting off with ACI 4 and using that to kind of build the wing. Then ACI 6. Oh, this is just so stunning. I have no words. It's just so beautiful. I'm gonna go fill it in with ACI 4 over here, and then ACI 10 on the inner section here. Oh, look at all those shimmers. So beautiful. So I put on the Cara Beauty 102 lashes, and then on this eye in the waterline, I put on the LA Girl Neon Eyeliner in a Gotcha. It's really hard to apply. I don't love it, but I have it, so gotta use it. And then on this eye in the waterline, I have the ColourPop Cream Gel Liner in Good Reef. So I'm gonna finish off both these looks, going back in that purple down here. Just nice and easy. And then for this look, going in with that forest green, connecting it. The same shade I used in the crease. And then popping ACI 7 on the inner crease here. It's pretty much a very topper-like shade, so I think it can go very nicely as an inner corner highlight. And for the inner corner highlight here, I'm going in with ACI 5, also very topper-like. And so here are the first two finished looks. Again, priming with the Be Perfect primer. I was originally going to just do 3 looks, but I just really want to show you guys as many of these shades on the lid in a look as possible, because they're just so beautiful. And I do think I prefer to use these on their own, just like one shade at a time, because I think they deserve to be in their own spotlight. And so that's why for the most part I'm just using one shade all over the lid. So for this third look, I want to do like a blue focus, show you these blue mattes and try out that beautiful blue shimmer topper. So I'm putting on ACM 12 right in the crease. This does need a little bit of building up, but it is a really beautiful sky blue. I had to just slightly turn down the lighting. I felt like it was blowing me out a bit. It was a little too bright. And then I'm gonna take ACM 27 and I'm gonna pack that all over the lid I want to see how this shade looks when it's on top of another color. Just packing it on. And then I'm gonna blend out the edges after. So it's fine that it's looking a little rough right now. So I'm gonna take a smaller brush, and I did put just a little bit of that deep shade on top. I'm feathering out those edges, just blending it out into the light blue. And I picked up ACI8 on my finger, and I'm just gonna tap it all over the lid. I just really like using these with my finger. You can definitely pick them up on a brush, of course, but I do feel like they lay down and pick up so well with a finger. And I'm just gonna put that all over the lid and kind of feather out the edges with my finger. Very hands-on look. And this is just, I mean, wow, the sparkle. The sparkle. Priming with the Be Perfect primer. I'm gonna just say it just in case people are, you know, skipping around. I'm gonna put timestamps in a pinned comment. So for this look, I'm gonna use the red and the dark brown and the yellow, and then I'm gonna use some of the more neutral colors in the Plain Jane palette. So I'm putting ACM6 right in the crease, and I'm gonna try to keep it kind of low because I'm gonna take the yellow to blend it out. So I feel like this looks a little bit more pinky once I've put it on. That usually happens with a lot of red shades, actually. So going in with ACM13 and using that to blend that in with the red. Just kind of blending that together. I think that looks really, really pretty. I do feel like I need to kind of pick up a lot of this yellow, but that's fine because I'd rather that than have like a super dry powdery yellow that kind of blends away. So I like that, but as you can see, I built it up quite a bit. And I'm gonna go back in with that red and just pat it on a little bit more, kind of help feather it out into the yellow further, and then putting ACM20 on the outer corner. Again, tapping it on. That's just how I like to do it, and then I feather out the edge because this way I can really control my placement. Going in blending, that way I tend to blow it out too far. So, which I end up doing a lot of blown out looks anyways, but I like to kind of control, you know, just how blown out. So I'm taking the same brush and just feathering that out, and these layered beautifully, which I'm so happy to see. Really, really enjoying the deep mattes from Adept. Like, I really think these are super nice. So I picked up ACI1 on my finger, and I'm putting that. Ooh, this one's got like a shift in it, huh? Putting that right in the center. Just tapping that on. And since my nails are a bit long, I'm gonna use a little brush to apply ACI7 in the kind of inner third portion. I do think this one could have used a glitter glue. This was a little bit more flaky. So I put on these Lunar Beauty Foam Ink lashes, and there's no name on the packaging. I just realized. So I'm gonna put them up on the screen, this Kirk style. They're like the most natural ones, but I'm just like, why isn't there the name? Oh, Stella. It's under here. Oh wow, okay. In the style Stella, and then on this waterline I put ColourPop Cream Gel Liner in Prance, and then on the other eye, Punch, also from ColourPop. Taking ACM27 and popping that right underneath my lower lash line to connect the outer crease, and then ACM12, and I'm putting that underneath the rest of my lower lash line. Finish off this look, I'm tapping on ACM20 and connecting it the outer edge there. That eye got a little out of control. And then taking ACM9, which is an orange, and popping it right in the center under my lower lash line, and then ACM 13 right here. It's like really hard for me to remember the names because they're numbers. I have to keep looking back. I think it's easier when they're just like names of things. But I also forgot to mention, I did go back and put some glitter primer on here just because I was getting a lot of fallout per like minute. So I did want to just like make sure it was sticking down and it wasn't budging. And I'm still seeing a little bit of fallout, like little tiny sparkles under my eye. So here are two more finished looks. So I've used the mattes and the Plain Jane palette off camera quite a few times. So I think I got a pretty good feel for the mattes as well as the shimmers in here. And let me just tell you, I mean, the moment I opened this palette, I was like, no regrets. Because the Plain Jane palette is a bit on the pricey side. You have 12 just really gorgeous shimmer shades. So of course this is more of a palette that you would pair with whatever kind of mattes you have from other palettes or single eyeshadows. But I am just in love with this palette. Like I said in the beginning, I cannot get enough. There's definitely a slight varying textures in here. So I would say ACI 1 and ACI 9 are probably the least flaky ones. Those are more just like a really smooth metallic, while some of these are more textured, like ACI 7, ACI 11, ACI 6, and you can kind of see that in the pan. They're a little bit more textured. They look a little flaky. However, they're not that like dry flaky where they can accentuate skin texture. So I think this palette would be great for material lids as well, because I don't get like a super textured look on the lids with these versus like, for example, Shine by SD. I have a video up with their Reserve collection. Those are like really dry and flaky. They almost don't want to stay in the pan because they just feel like totally different, and you kind of have to like rub them like out a little bit so that they're smoother, but that's kind of hard to do on the lid, especially if you're using glitter glue. So I really think I prefer this kind of formula where it's a little bit more slick. It's a little bit more just, there's like a little bit more foil to it versus being super dry. So that's like one of the major things that really blew me away with this palette. The texture just really unique to me, and especially in these shades, like I feel like they look a certain way in the pan, and then when you put them on the lid, if you put them over like just your skin, or if you put them over like a matte deeper shadow or mid-tone shadow, they're gonna transform. So you're getting really truly, I would say, more than 12 shades in here, because the moment you layer them, you get a whole nother beautiful eyeshadow that you didn't even know was in there. I actually had a really hard time trying to find dupes in my collection to these shades. They're just so unique. I'm just like, I'm really happy that I got this palette. I think it was totally worth it. They're releasing a new palette and I'm so excited for it. That palette will have 2 mattes in it though. So let's talk about the mattes next. I really love the variety of colors that I got. I think I got a pretty good feel for their matte formula. I would say some of the more like mid-tone kind of mattes, like the bright green, this kind of like, I don't even know, it's like a ashy blue, and then this shade as well, and then the yellow and the orange. I think those are a little bit more buildable. I feel like I like when I go in, it doesn't like pick up a lot. These are super hard pressed, and I think that's why. So it's not that they're not pigmented. I think it's just they're really hard pressed in here. So I do feel like I have to build them up a little bit, but I don't really have a problem with that as long as they layer really nicely, because I hate really thin eyeshadows that just like don't want to build. They just blend away the shadow that's underneath. So from the mattes, I would say the deep mattes are really what stand out to me. I just had such a great time playing around with both these palettes off camera, and now on camera I could honestly just keep creating looks. I do like using one shade per look because I really like appreciating the one shade. It's just so magical that I want to like appreciate it on its own, if that makes sense. Like just like multi-chromes, also quite a few of these are shifty, so the moment you kind of put more than one together, you're not going to see all the shifts, which is something that's just what happens when you use multi-chrome. There's just no way for you to see like 5 different shifts in between 3 different multi-chromes, right? Especially because the bend is really what shows that shift. So I like to put these on one at a time, 2 like I did on this side, I did 2, and then I did the second look, I did like more. I think I would have preferred that look with just like 1 shade all over the lid, maybe 2, but I just really love these on their own. They're so beautiful. Also, if you're looking for something where you're just like swipe it on and you're done, maybe throw like a matte in the crease, I think this palette is great for one and done kind of eyeshadow looks, but also you can definitely glam it up. And if you wanted to go for a glam look, you can definitely do that with this palette. So I think the Plain Jane palette is just super versatile, and I love the mattes. So I'm really excited that I finally tried out Adept Cosmetics. They were on my list to try for 2020, and then I put them on my list to try in 2021, and I finally did it, and 0 regrets. Honestly, I would say this is probably one of my favorite purchases so far. Besides like all my other multi-chromes, I think just ever. Like, I'm just so absolutely blown away by these. So I would definitely recommend the Plain Jane palette, and I would recommend the mattes as well. If you just really love the shimmers in the palette, then I think totally go for it. So that's pretty much everything I have to say. That was a really long-winded review, but I've just been honestly so excited to film with this palette and to do more looks. So I've had such a good time with it. So let me know in the comments below if you have tried Adept Cosmetics. Do you have the Plain Jane palette? Are you planning on picking it up? Let me know. I would love to hear your thoughts. And if you enjoyed the video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. And if you're new to my channel, I would love it if you subscribed. There's so much indie makeup, shiny, shifty eyeshadow content already on my channel, and a lot more coming up. You don't want to miss out. So thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you next time.